Welcome to this visual vishlation. Today we're tackling a question that hits a little too close to home for a lot of us. Why exactly do our dreams seem to just die after we turn 30? Through a really simple but deeply relatable stickman animation, we're going to track a journey to figure out where all those massive childhood ambitions actually vanish to. Because let's be real, every single one of us wanted to be something huge when we were kids. An astronaut, a brilliant scientist, a world-class artist, or just a straight-up superhero. But then, well, life happens. So let's dive right in and map out exactly how that shift occurs and watch how a life completely full of possibility slowly starts to change its shape. Just picture this for a second. A kid standing out in an open field holding a toy rocket up against this vibrant, beautiful sunset. It's such a powerful image of just totally boundless imagination. Because when we're young, the sky literally isn't the limit, right? It's just the starting line. But it immediately forces us to ask a really tough core question. आखिर हमारे सपनों को क्या हुआ? Seriously, what actually happened to those dreams? Where did that vibrant energy and that toy rocket actually go? It's kind of hilarious, honestly, but also a little heartbreaking when you think about it. On one hand, you've got the 10-year-old's dream, charting the cosmos, exploring alien planets, or saving the world. And then you look at the reality of the 30-year-old. The absolute grandest dream they have left? Just sleeping in on the weekend, just trying to recover from the sheer exhaustion of the work week. It's this massive, stark contrast between the epic goals of our youth and the incredibly tiring reality of adulthood. So how on earth do we get from point A to point B? Well, let's break this down. Chapter 1. Bachpan Ke Sapne, the disappearing dream. Before we can really understand why the dream disappears, we have to remember what it felt like when it was fully alive. Think back to those bright, colorful days of childhood where the word impossible literally did not exist in your vocabulary. As kids, we dream with absolutely zero filters. Whether it's stepping into an astronaut suit, throwing on a doctor's coat to save lives, or just rocking out with a guitar, there's no hesitation. We are completely 100% aligned with our limitless aspirations, mostly because nobody has come along yet to tell us we can't be. But then, things start to change. Chapter 2. Reality check our society. The shift begins. Those brightly colored bubbles of our toy rockets and guitars? Yeah, they began to pop the very second we're seated at a school desk. It's this slow, creeping process. At age 8, our stick man is dreaming of the stars, fully embracing that astronaut life. But fast forward to age 15, and suddenly the teacher is writing "Be realistic" in giant capital letters on the chalkboard. That free-form imagination gets replaced by a strict curriculum, standardized marks, and grades. By age 22, the only conversation happening is about the pressure to find a stable job. And finally, by age 30, our stick figure has fully arrived at the office trap. It is a literal step-by-step transition from innocent, wild imagination to just crushing societal expectations. And you know, the pressure isn't just institutional. It's so deeply personal. We've all felt it. You're suddenly surrounded by family and society, and it feels like there are these giant fingers constantly pointing at you. The voices get so loud. Get a stable job, don't take risks, and of course the ultimate dream killer. Risk mat lo kya kahenge? What will people say? The craziest part is that as we grow up, this external chorus eventually becomes way louder than our own internal voice. We literally start listening to the pointing fingers instead of our own hearts. Which brings us to Chapter 3, Tis ke baad ka trap, the dreaded 30s trap. By this point, the bright, vibrant colors of childhood are completely washed out. Everything's dull, gray, and just moving way too fast. Our grown-up stick figure has basically been swallowed whole by the harsh, fluorescent glow of a cubicle monitor. And it's all because of this cycle of delay. Step 1, you clock in at the office. Step 2, you work yourself to the bone to pay those ever-mounting bills. Step 3, you stress out over the EMIs and the loans. And Step 4, which is honestly the most tragic step, you take your absolute biggest passions, your astronaut suit, your guitar, your art, and you move them to the kabhi list, sometime later. Time just keeps passing, and these heavy, mounting burdens of responsibility physically bury what you actually care about. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Chapter 4, Sapne marte nahi hain, the reawakening. This story absolutely does not have to end in that cubicle. The whole tone can shift from frustration right back to hope. Imagine our stick man, Deep in the grind of that 30s trap, just randomly opening up an old closet. And right there, sitting quietly in the back, totally covered in dust, is that exact same toy rocket from childhood. It's a moment that illustrates a really profound truth. Sapna kabhi marta nahi, wo bas dabta rehta. A dream never actually dies, it just gets buried. It just waits for you. This is such a huge emotional turning point because it totally validates the burnout you might be feeling at 30, while reminding you that the spark wasn't actually extinguished. It was just temporarily buried under EMIs and the pressure to be realistic. So, what actually happens when you finally dust off that rocket? Well, take a real-world example. Someone who, despite all those intense pressures of the cycle of delay, finally picked up a paintbrush and started their artistic journey at 35 years old. They went right back to their childhood bubble and decided to make it real. Or how about hitting 40? There are so many inspiring stories of people who boldly ignored all those pointing fingers, blocked out the noise, and launched a brand new business at 40. They stopped caring about what will people say. They just dusted off their ambition and finally took the leap. The ultimate takeaway here is crystal clear, guys. Age is literally just a number. It is not a deadline. People pick their true passions right back up in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond all the time. That timeline society tries to force on us, the one that insists you have to be totally realistic by 15 and perfectly settled by 22, is completely fabricated. It is never, ever too late to wipe the dust off your own toy rocket and bring a little bit of that colorful sky back into your day-to-day life. So, as we watch our protagonist wipe the dust off that rocket and finally smile again, we really need to reframe things. The question isn't, why did your dream shrink? Or why did it disappear? The real question you need to ask yourself right in this moment is it still in your closet? Is that passion just sitting there waiting for you to simply open the door and acknowledge it again? Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Tumhara purana sapna kya tha? What was your old dream? Before the cubicle, before the EMIs, before everyone told you to just be realistic? What did you actually want to do? I really want you to take a second and reflect on that. If your dream is still buried in that closet, it is officially time to remember it. Drop your buried dreams down in the comments. Let's spark a real community realization that these passions are still very much alive. Thanks for hanging out with me for this vistulation. And remember, that toy rocket is just waiting for you to pick it up again.